Joe Burrow is hurt. The Bengals have sucked so far this season, and the Rams have outperformed. It looks like it's going to be the Rams taking this game from the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday night, week 3. That's going to be a common narrative, I believe, when people are building their lineups, and it's probably a likely outcome, but we're going to build in a different direction. We're going to build under the assumption that Joe Burrow plays with a little bit of health tonight. We just found out that he is in for this night's game. He's not going to be ruled out tonight, so he will be playing. And we're going to build a little bit differently with a Bengals passing attack tonight. So before we get into that, I'm Simon Edwards at Pumacom with Heatseeker Sports. Please give us a subscribe to the YouTube page. Give us a like on the video. And we do these for every island game and then some games on the main slate as well. This is a show called Gamescript. We're looking to compete with 20% of the field as opposed to 80% of the field. And I believe that tonight we can get some cheap discounts on Cincinnati players as far as ownership goes, because everybody is going to be trying to scramble to get the running games in. And I believe most people will suspect that an under is going to get hit on this game. That's probably the most likely outcome, but we're looking to build for less likely outcomes. So let's take a look real quick at our slate. We're looking at the Rams versus the Bengals. This is a Super Bowl rematch that we have going on here, and it's not looking good for the Bengals. Like just in general, this entire season. They are favorites in this game. They're playing in Cincinnati. They're 3-point favorites last time I checked. And the total is 46.5. So it's a 46.5 point total. And the Bengals, I'm just refreshing it now, are still 3-point favorites in this game. So interesting to see there, with given the Rams' success that they've been having this season, but also with the problems that the Bengals have been having, and the fact that up until about 20 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago, we thought that Joe Burrow most likely would not play, but now it turns out that he is in. So we're going to build some lineups here. First, let's build with the common assumption that the Rams are going to take this game. I think in a situation, or not, Rams aren't going to take this game, but that the run-heavy approach will be the way to build with these lineups. I'm going to build with that situation, putting Joe Mixon in the captain, because I think that Mixon is going to get a lot of work regardless of how healthy Joe Burrow may or may not be. I think they're going to lean on the run a decent amount. That's the most likely outcome. So for this lineup, we're going to build in that direction. And Joe Mixon just basically has a better situation all around than some of these other weapons. The Rams have put up a pretty decent defense. They are only allowing about 25, 26 points per game to wide receiver position. They're only allowing about 12 points a game to the quarterback position. Tight end, they are good against the tight end. So the Rams defense has actually been pretty decent this year. They are susceptible, though, to running backs. They're allowing, I believe, 5 yards a carry to running backs. So Joe Mixon has a pretty good matchup, pretty good setup there. And he's been slow. Let's take a look at what Joe Mixon has done so far this season. He has scored 13 points in week 2, 10 points in week 1. He's had 3 receptions, 5 targets for 3 receptions in week 1, 5 targets for 4 receptions in week 2. So he's been part of that passing game. And I could see Joe Burrow relying on the running backs for the passing game in this one. So let's put Mixon in there. Let's go with some Rams now. Kyren Williams, he also has a decent matchup. He's probably got the best matchup apart from tight ends in this game. Bengals are allowing 22.5 points to running backs per game. They're actually Bengals are actually bad against the quarterback and the tight end too, so not necessarily the best matchup in this slate for Kyron. But if we're looking at Stafford, he's a pocket passer. We just need a bunch of weapons to stack with him for him to be viable. If we wanted to go in that direction, maybe Mixon is captain here because the Rams are behind and they need to throw to get ahead there. So let's put in Matt Stafford. Let's put in Nacua for now. Nacua is going to have a lot of attention on him tonight. Let's put in Atwell because Atwell is running about 45% of his runs from the slot or at least from the middle of the field, but he is going to be much lesser owned than Nacua tonight, and the Bengals are weak against slot. Let's look a little bit further down here. In this type of build, I want to put the Bengals in there. I like the Bengals defense in general tonight because these are the situations where, like a team's down 0-2 to start the season. They're Super Bowl hopeful. They are not looking good right now. They have a good defensive coordinator, and they have played the Rams as recently as the Super Bowl. So that was about 2 years ago. So they've played them relatively recently, considering they're in different conferences. I think that the Bengals defense have an opportunity to step up here, and I think they're going to take that opportunity. And Matt Stafford has been mistake prone in the past. He's had two not easy opponents, but Seattle's defense is not good. They played against them in week 1. And how did Matt Stafford do in that game? He got 55 pass attempts in that game. That was the San Francisco game. He scored 20 points against San Francisco on 55 pass attempts. 19 points against San Francisco on 55 pass attempts. That's pretty bad for a quarterback. You want him to be a lot higher than that if he's getting that many pass attempts. He only attempted 38 passes against Seattle and only scored 17 points in that game. So it kind of gives you an idea of what we might be able to expect from Stafford. I would guess anywhere in the 15 to 19 point range, maybe, depending on how much they throw tonight. But if we're looking at the matchups, Kyren Williams does not have a bad matchup, so I can see the Rams running a decent amount in this game tonight. But for the sake of this lineup, let's put Stafford in there. And we're going to want to put him probably we got him with 2 weapons. We got the Bengals defense. We're forcing Stafford into mistakes. The Bengals are trying to make up for the deficiencies in the offense that they will be dealing with Joe Burrow being so banged up. We got Mixon in the captain. That correlates with that defense. We're left with $6,600. That gives you plenty of options. Tyler Higbee. The Bengals are not good against tight ends. That makes Higbee interesting, and he should be low owned because he hasn't done anything like in a long time. You also got options like Tyler Boyd in that situation. Van Jefferson also runs a lot of those slant routes, which the Bengals can be susceptible to. And then you got the kickers, Eric McPherson. He's always a stud. Maybe Eric McPherson is helping to explain why none of the pass catchers are in here. Maybe the Bengals pass catchers are driving it to field goal distance, but then they're not scoring touchdowns, and that's where McPherson comes in here and racks up the points. Maybe Tyler Boyd, with Joe Burrow being banged up, he's got a shorter distance to throw. He chooses Tyler Boyd to be his guy. Tyler Boyd's matchup it's not great. Jamar Chase honestly has the best matchup tonight. We'll worry about that when we build our passing game lineups, but left with a bunch of options here with the amount of money that we're left in a build like this. So if you wanted to go a mix and build, that's kind of a direction that you could take a look at. The build that I am more interested in is taking the ownership discount with the Bengals passing game, because we know that the situation, they've been horrible. They've been horrible this year. Jamar Chase hasn't done anything. Everybody is upset about him, and they're using a number 2 overall pick on him with their best ball drafts, blah, blah, blah. So let's put Chase in there, and let's get Burrow in there too. Let's just assume that, or not assume, but let's tell a story where Burrow is not as banged up as maybe people are thinking he will be. And we see it all the time with guys that come into the showdown slates with an injury designation, and then at the last minute they shock all of us, announcing that they are going to play, and then everybody's built all their lineups. They've made all their tweaks on their optimizers. They don't want to go back in there and fix that. So let's get the passing game in here to kind of offset that ownership and get that advantage there. So we got Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. Let's say we want to put in Puka Nacua in this one, because we know he's racking up all the PPR points, and he has that PPR upside. He's also questionable, by the way, and he's expensive. He's at 10,000. So we got him in there. Let's say in this build, I think McPherson makes a little bit more sense, because if Chase is racking up points and we don't have Mixon in there, Chase is getting it into field goal distance, and then McPherson comes in there and grabs some field goals that Mixon can't convert on. And Joe Burrow has thrown a couple touchdowns to Chase. Chase is coming out of his hibernation in this game. So let's try that. I like the Bengals defense again in a build like this, because I believe that they're going to step up tonight, and they're going to have, a good game in this situation. That leaves us with more options. If we wanted to use double kicker in this build, I think that would make a lot of sense, given that the Rams are also probably going to struggle to put up points in this one if the Cincinnati defense steps up. So they'll get in that red zone or end zone area and red zone area, and the kickers will take over and snipe all our points in that situation. You can put the Rams defense in there too. Obviously, the Bengals O-line has been an issue for years, and Burrow gets stacked left and right. So that makes sense to have a Rams defense in there. Double defense in that situation, like you can take it or leave it. I don't think many people will have a build like that for good reason. But you got lots of options when you go this direction. One thing, let's see, where's Van Jefferson? Van Jefferson's at 4,400. So we're $100 off of Van Jefferson in this build. If we wanted to mess around a little bit, maybe we take out, let's see, the Mar is 4,000 more. Maybe we take out Puka Nacua. Maybe it's Tutu Atwell that's getting all the receptions in this one. That gives us like Tyler Higbee. Gives us options like Tyler Boyd if we wanted to put another pass catcher with Joe Burrow in this one. What's Tyler Boyd done this year? Tyler Boyd has gotten 8 targets in week 2, 3 targets in week 1. That 8 targets in week 2 is interesting to me, just because we know that obviously Burrow must have been banged up in week 2, and he was leaning on Tyler Boyd a bit from the looks of it. Tyler Boyd didn't do much with that, but he could swoop in and score a touchdown. He got 11 fantasy points in that game. So that's an option there. I really want to get a build where we can get, Van Jefferson and Puka Nacua in there. Let's mess around a little bit and see if we can't do that real quick before I have to sign off here to build lineups. Eric McPherson. Let's get Van Jefferson in there. And if we wanted to do Puka Nacua instead of Atwell, that leaves us with 3,500. That leaves us with options like we could go with the Rams D. I'm not really into the Rams D too much, but they do have, that bad O-line and Burrow banked up. So maybe the Rams D wouldn't be too bad in a build like this. We got Irv Smith is doubtful. So I wonder who the tight end sub Zach Gentry. I'm not liking the tight end options here for the Bengals. Let's see. Oh, this guy's like the backup for Kyron Williams, Ronnie Rivers. Ronnie Rivers. He's got the name, but he doesn't have the work. He's not getting much work either in the run game or the pass game. He only has one target, so he's probably a pass. But maybe you can check out some other content and find somebody a little bit sneaky here. Ben Skowronek has been a thorn in our sides in Showdown for a couple years now. The backup looks like Chris Evans doesn't have an injury designation. That's good. He's a backup to Joe Mixon. So if you wanted to get Chris Evans in there, I wouldn't hate that. He's only $200. Let's see. Yeah, other than that, looks like Travion Williams. He's a little bit more expensive than Chris Evans. How much work has he gotten? He's gotten 2 rushing attempts in week 1. He got 2 targets last week, but I think that Chris Evans might have been out last week. Let's look at Evans again. What did Evans do? Yeah, he was out week 2. So Evans being back and being $200 is interesting. Like if you're looking for maybe someone who's going to come in on those passing downs, if you think that the Bengals are going to be playing from behind, remember Chris Evans at $200 because he could be a useful piece to a build like this. What if we took out Van Jefferson and put in Chris Evans? That would give us 7,700. Gives us an option to get Atwell in there. So yeah, I mean, Chris Evans is an interesting piece, especially if you want to go with these Bengals passing game builds. So keep him in mind, and good luck with your lineup building. I put up a game script earlier for Philadelphia versus whoever they're playing, and that show is already up and available on YouTube. It is now 5:40, and games are about to start in 30 minutes, so I got to sign off. So good luck with your lineups, and hopefully this helps.